All right, guys, buckle up for some more daily high-quality content. You know the Troubadour, Evoker, and Antiquary now. Who do you think gets Galeshot and Luminary? That's right, guys. We've got the names of two more elite specializations and maybe a little bit of a hint on what those might look like for Visions of Eternity. Before we actually start talking about this, I actually have to highlight a member of the community for delivering this meme to us. It is Kroof on Twitter. That's Kroof in all caps _ with this tweet. Hey twin, drop the Elite Specs trailers too hype right now with this image from the new Superman film. Very funny. I got a good laugh out of this one, so definitely follow Kroof for more hard-hitting meme content over there on social media. Love to see that. But anyway, let's actually go with that. So, I think it's pretty obvious where we're going here, I think. And the first one I'm very confident about, it looks like the Ranger is going to be the Galeshot. You know, it's the only one that kind of makes sense there with the bow kind of arrow there. And this is interesting because my initial take on this was Beastmaster. Right, this is going to be, you know, not just Pigeonmancer, right? That was, you know, my initial idea. Was like, oh yeah, Pigeonmancer is going to be there. But I was thinking they would lean into Beast. You're going to send in a variety of animal companions and fearsome creatures to do battle with you. But actually, it does look like we are going a little bit more towards Pigeonmancer. So kind of air-themed abilities, wind-themed abilities. Going to be a lot of mobility in there, that's for sure. And yeah, it looks like you're going to be summoning a lot of birds, maybe a lot of bird-themed attacks you're going to be sending out towards your opponent. You can kind of see the Ranger here charging up some kind of ability, like a blade of air slicing out forwards there. Going to be pretty interesting. And again, this is not a weapon. This is clearly going to be some kind of profession mechanic that they're using here as well, either empowering their basic attacks or indeed casting some kind of projectile or some kind of spell that's also imbued with the power of these birds in there. So really interesting to see how that one's going to go on there. So it looks like it is going to be, I imagine there's going to be like a heavy ranged component to this, given the bow imagery, and again, now Galeshot, right? Like kind of this concept of projectile being involved there. So we're going like big range roleplay here, right? And if you think about it, that does kind of make sense, right? Because, of course, a lot of Guild Wars 2 builds do end up having a melee focus, right? We had Hammer for Ranger get added, Mace added as well. It's actually been a while since Ranger has actually had some ranged components. So I'm expecting a very heavy range focus here with this kind of avian air wind magic kind of theme attached to it. So pretty cool, I think. And I think not a bad name as well, you know. People are kind of like, you know, Troubadour's too complicated. You know, that's got too many letters. I prefer if it was Bard. But yeah, Galeshot, that's a little bit more down to earth, I think. So that one's actually pretty cool there as well. And yeah, it is looking like there are going to be a lot of skills that are being added here, right? So it looks like the profession mechanic is going to be impactful. And that is like a key thing. You know, people in chat are talking about how every spec's going to have kits, and that might not be the case. But what I think might end up being the case is that there's a good amount of weight to the profession mechanics. This could end up being something like Druid again, where you have a form. This could be just like having a lot of extra buttons attached to your kit or interacting with your beast skills in some way. So you've got like a lot of extra kit attached. Because bear in mind, they haven't got weapons with these, right? There's no elite spec weapons. So these profession mechanics need to be impactful. It's got to change up your class. It can't just be a set of new traits. The mechanic needs to be impactful on these to make sure that the elite specialization is a very rounded package that gives you this fundamentally new gameplay experience. Now, we're not going to be hearing about Galeshot and Luminary for a little while, because of course next week the reveals are going to be for the Evoker, the Troubadour, and the Antiquary. So we'll have to wait a little while for this, but of course we are going to be getting blog posts as well, I think, that will be going over them a little bit ahead of time, so don't worry, it won't be too long. But I think, honestly, I feel like if you're a Ranger, you're pretty happy with that, I'd say. I think we're off to a good start, in my opinion. With that one, I think thematically that's pretty damn cool. And the other one, I do think this I think is the Luminary. It could be the Rev as well, but the imagery here is very big. And bear in mind, this image, by the way, is called Guardian.jpg. So this is the depiction of the Guardian Elite specialization, no question about that. The question is this the Luminary? That would make sense to me, given that, you know, we have this kind of brazier torch thing that appears to be following the character around. And that, honestly, I really like the name of that. Like, okay, you know, if you're disappointed with the naming conventions for elite specializations, this, I think, is definitely a bit of a return to form. I love that name. Sounds really exciting, you know. It's going to be a guardian lighting the way, showing the unwashed masses, you know, the power of virtue or something. I don't know. I'm no good at role-playing, guys, I don't know what to tell you. But I really like the aesthetic here as well. You know, it's kind of a slightly darker tone for Guardian here as well. You know, we have this almost like slightly menacing, like very angular thing following us around. So I think it is going to be a bit of edge to it. A bit of edge to Guardian, right? Taking it in a different direction with the roleplay. Mechanically, again, I really don't know what we're going to be going on. It's obviously going to have this lantern thing that will be mechanically involved. Again, I don't think this is a pet though, right? This looks a bit similar to the Evoker in that it may be something that you can interact with, again, more like a summoner, or like a mechanic, a bit like Ventari's tablet potentially. It's something that you could end up having here, and this thing can project influence, right? You can, I don't know, maybe you could like swap positions with it or something cool like that. You know, maybe it's like League of Legends Thresh. You can like throw it out, and you know people can click on it somehow or interact with it, and it will like pull them to you. Some kind of fun stuff like that. So I think that's the kind of thing that could be in the mixer as well. Like you can probably send it out and make it burst into like blue flames or something like that, and do some damage, do some burning, right? Do some support depending what you spec into it. I think the nature of this spec, again, I think it's going to end up pretty flexible, right? Because I feel like you can really easily imagine, you know, oh, if you take this trait or this ability, you know, the lantern will erupt in healing energies and apply boons. Another way it will be maybe a different color and it's applying like, you know, horrific poison and torment, right? And burning, right, to enemies around it, right? Or something like that. I think it'd be pretty interesting. But again, my guess on this is that all of these mechanics are going to be impactful because, again, this is a great sword, right? We're not getting a weapon. So this lantern, whatever it's going to be, you know, Magrest in the chat, like, anyways, talking about how, yeah, it's going to be Guardian with an F4. No, I think they're going to make these pretty extensive. They're going to want these to be impactful. So I'd expect certainly replacements for all of the original F keys, maybe an extra one, and definitely very heavy trait integration, such that your choices are pretty meaningful with what this actually ends up doing to generate this like very distinctive play style for the Luminary. Now, again, I'm not completely sure that's Guardian. Again, they haven't explicitly said what these are. They're very much saying, who do you think gets Galeshot? Who's going to get the Luminary? But I think it does make the most sense. It's weird that it would be a shield, because of course, you know, if Guardian realistically, I think is almost certainly getting this shield icon, but nothing else really kind of screams Luminary. The only reason I thought it might be the Rev is like maybe this is some kind of very heavily stylized, you know, version of that lantern, and it could be like this or something, or maybe even, again, this is the Revenant one or something like that. But I again, like, to me, this is Luminary, and this is, again, confirmed to be the Guardian because of the naming of this file. So I do think it's that, but maybe on the off chance it could be the Revenant. But yeah, in terms of like overall mechanics, I really, I think it will be very interesting to see what they do with this one. If it is going to end like Ventari, that's honestly pretty cool. Like, I think Ventari is actually a really cool mechanic that doesn't get a lot of love because the toolkit around Heal Rev has been fairly mediocre, so it hasn't really had its opportunity to shine, I think, in a lot of game modes. And it has a very bad reputation in PvP because typically when Ventari Rev is good, the game is horrible because it usually generates, when any kind of Heal Rev or Bunker Rev is good, listen, okay, it's dark days, guys, okay? It's the exact kind of dark days we need the Luminary to light our way out of. So that'll be pretty fun, I think, to find that out. And yeah, they did actually only drop 2 as well. Pretty interesting they didn't do 3, isn't it? But you know, they're pacing themselves, guys. They're doing a little bit of hype. You know, they're hyping stuff up over time. Very exciting. And of course, we are going to be hearing about these over the next couple of weeks. And again, I think I'm going to be repeating myself a little bit here, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing the first stream, which is going to be next Friday. And that's because we're going to get an idea of the scope. Right now, we don't know. You know, you're hearing me talk about how I'm guessing they're going to be pretty extensive and they're going to have quite a lot going on mechanically. It's not going to be Catalyst F5, no shot. But we don't know that for certain. We don't know how far they're going to be going with these. So when we see kind of like the mechanical complexity for what these look like, in the streams, that's going to make things really exciting, because then we can really almost have a bit of a baseline to speculate on where we're going with the other ones, like, because we'll know what's possible, like what's on the table, if that makes any sense. So that will really get the speculation engine really firing when we've seen the initial set of these elite specializations. So definitely tune in for that. Of course, ArenaNet are going to be streaming that on their channel on Twitch and YouTube, so be ready for that. They haven't posted exactly when, but they usually post at 8 p.m. my time, 8 p.m. UK time on Fridays is when they stream, so it's probably going to be at that time. But yeah, that's going to be super exciting. Definitely tune in for that. But I think that will actually wrap things up for a little bit of daily slop content about the Galeshot, which I think is going to the Ranger, and the Luminary, which I think is going to the Guardian. But if you think I'm wrong, please let me know. I'm really curious if any of you guys have any crazy harebrained theories about what's going on with these elite specializations and which ones these could be potentially going to. Do you have any ideas about what the mechanics are for the Galeshot or for the Luminary? What would you like to see? You know, are you a Guardian player, Ranger player? What would you guys love to see? Are you hyped about the idea of a very ranged focused Ranger specialization? Are you excited about the idea of projecting the powers of the Guardian out onto the battlefield, being supported by this rather sinister looking torch floating around in the background? Hey, let me know. Absolutely, let me know. I'm really curious what everyone's thinking. Hopefully you guys are finding this exciting. I have to say, I'm having fun. It's good to have some content to make, right? It's good to have something to talk about nearly every day here in Guild Wars 2. We don't get that super often, so it's a lot of fun for me. I hope you guys are enjoying the show. And of course, yeah, I guess that's about it. You know, of course, I'll be streaming all of this. I'll be talking about it on stream basically daily, so you can show up and ask me questions and say something in YouTube. Okay, or don't. You can go on Twitch, you can go on YouTube, you can follow there, you can subscribe there, you can buy the game using my referral link, guys. Buy Visions of Eternity, Visions of the Luminary, Visions of Galeshot, Visions of Bard. Okay, yeah, that's only a vision at this point, guys. Unlucky on that one, okay? Visions of the script, digging up the treasure with the Antiquary, okay? It's good stuff, it really is. But anyway, leave your comments, like, follow, subscribe, watch all the other videos, come back and watch every single day. Stay tuned for content, guys. We're going to have some tea times coming up as well, and some discussions about what's going on with Guild Wars 2 and beyond, and the expansion, with a bunch of really interesting people. So stay tuned for a lot more YouTube content, guys. We are back on it. We are back on the grind big time here. But for now, that's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Engage with social media. Buy the game using my referral link. And I'll see you next time. Take it easy.